time here on YouTube because I got enough subscribers. Not that many, but anyways, here I am. Why am I going live? I'm pretty interested in the whole live dynamic. I know there won't be anybody viewing these first few, and that's fine. But over time, if people would watch these, that'd be awesome. I would love to interact with people about the things that I'm talking about. Maybe have each live session kind of be uh, a quick firing off session of things off the top of my head that I'm thinking of for a specific topic. And if people are really into that topic, if people are really liking it, and there's a lot of discussion about it, I will pull up all of the receipts, all the data that I can about it. I'll make a longer video that is more in-depth, maybe not longer, but more in-depth with facts and stats to support the things I'm talking about. I'm not going to go out of my way to make these videos that no one's going to watch though. So first, let's see if people are interested in some of these ideas, and then I will flush them out. I work full-time. I'm not making my money as a creator. I'm not living off a silver spoon. I work 40 hours a week. So as of right now, editing videos and putting them together in a very specific way where I do the research to have nobody watch them, it's probably not going to be what I do. But I will keep making short videos, and I will keep making these live videos where I go into detail about things that I know off the top of my head. So that's what I'm here to do today. This first live video is going to be kind of talking about the ideas that I have for creating a farm in the future. And I know that right now, the only thing stopping me from doing this is being a landowner. I don't necessarily want to rent land and farm because I think of farming as an investment in the land, an investment in the community. I'd prefer to be stationed in an area and working on it uh, as an investment in that soil. So why do I want to do this? First off, we grow so much food now. We have all this technology to grow all this different kind of food. And what do we get? We get less variety, less quality, imported, pesticides, GMO. We get all this crap. And there's so many problems with society right now that, wow, I don't want to get into something that's already 10 levels convoluted and I have to use labor in order to get this product so that I can dye it and sell it. I just want to go straight to the soil, grow something regeneratively, which means I'm going to be adding nutrients into the soil, making the soil better, and growing like a variety of foods. It's not going to be just like I grow apples. No, that's kind of useless for the community. That's an resource extractive economy that I don't want to support, that I'm not into. So getting some land and growing some stuff, and that seems like to me a pretty wholesome way of life. Now, let's get into the details of what it would take in order to make a farm like that functioning in the way that I'd like to. A lot of the things that I study in regards to farming and gardening are regenerative techniques. Like I said before, adding, contributing, enriching the soil instead of doing it extractively where you're using petrochemicals and lots of tillage. I want to do more of a no-till, more of a natural farming, Masanobu Fukuoka style food, market garden, using all the tools. There's so many tools now. There's so many examples of people showing you different ways you could set this stuff up. And boom, I'd set up an orchard that could grow as many varieties of fruits as we can grow in my zone. And so that'd be like avocados, citrus. I'd be able to grow some apples and some stone fruit. I'd be able to grow, passion fruit. I'd be able to grow berry bushes. Like there's lots of stuff that'll grow down here. So get that established. That's going to be an investment because orchards take time in order to get to the point where they are producing. Like you could go buy some fruit trees and they might take a couple of years to actually start producing fruit for you. If you grow a fruit tree from seed, it's going to be even longer and you're not going to know what the fruit's going to be like. So I do this properly, get the right trees, get them all planted out, make a whole area for the orchard that's all perennial plants. And just perennial plants, they require a different kind of nitrogen than most annual plants. And so I'd create a different soil zone over there that was just way mulched out lots of woody material. That woody material is going to feed the fungi, making the ammonium nitrate more ammonia nitrate more nitrogen more accessible, and to these perennial plants, these woody plants. They like wood chips. They like woody brown material on the surface that feeds the fungi and makes the form of nitrogen that's bioavailable to them more accessible. And so in this area, anything that's like woody and perennial will probably be great to grow here. All sorts of different herbs and stuff like that, like thyme, rosemary, lavender. They love that kind of environment. So create a zone that's all about that. Hook that up to some irrigation, easy peasy. In a couple of years' time, that'll be producing. In several years' time, that will be a truly profitable thing. And as opposed to just growing one crop where I wouldn't be able to employ people year long, and I would only be able to get the lowest possible value selling it wholesale, I'll be selling a multitude of crops, usually ideally at like farmers markets or direct sale in some capacity. So we're getting the market value of the crop, which, why does food keep going up in price if they keep growing it in more and more complicated ways? Aren't they supposed to be making food cheaper for us? No, that's not what they do. They just grow corn and soy and they subsidize that crap. Then they feed it to the livestock and then they subsidize that crap again. So in reality, a lot of this stuff is not functioning in a way that works, because the reason why you need this many acres, hundreds of acres, in order to be profitable is because your profit margin's so low because you're wholesaling everything and you can't employ people year round. So you're not doing good for the community. You're not doing good for people because you're not providing them a multitude of things to eat. And instead, what we create is this export market. I'm in California. We have tons of farmland here. So the fact that we are exporting so much stuff and importing so much stuff blows my mind, boggles my mind. There's no way that this imported and exported agriculture will ever be able to compete with the fresh produce that's grown locally in season. This stuff's just going to be better tasting, more nutritious, and have more value, and be also taking less input to grow. So as far as getting that orchard set up, that's one zone. Next zone would be like vegetables and annual crops. So these are just going to be uh, kind of traditional style, like, but not a big farmland of all one crop like you'd imagine. Smaller rows of different kinds of things. This is going to provide the biodiversity necessary for all sorts of different soil organisms, micro and macroorganisms, to exist and thrive. And that's what's going to really help everything work. And so in these areas and in the orchard, I plan to also grow a bunch of different varieties of cover crops. Cover crops are labeled as such because farmers will often use them to cover a certain area for the biomass, like the plant material that they create, and or what they do to the soil beneath. So a cover crop could be something that just breaks up the soil and helps loosen it up for the next crop. It could be something that grows a bunch of biomass, then you chop and drop it or you compost it, and it provides you with nutrition in that way. And it could be something that fixes nitrogen into the soil, like clover. It forms a relationship with these azobacteria in the soil, and they actually make the nitrogen stay in the soil in these little nodes. And because they're fixing it into the soil, it actually stays in the soil, as opposed to if you had a big pile of stuff, a lot of that nitrogen would actually just go off into the atmosphere. So this is helping sequester carbon. This is helping sequester all sorts of other things into the soil, and it's helping increase the soil organic mass. So I'd be using all these kinds of techniques in order to improve the soil in areas that I needed to, in order to use them symbiotically and with different things in order to make the soil super rich. So I'd be using cover crops. I'd be using minimal or no IPM, or I don't want to say no IPM. I'd be using minimal IPM. That means if there's some bugs, I'm not going to spray them. I'm going to put some bait traps out and just try to catch them and get rid of them. If there's some bigger pests, I'm going to build some fences, or I'm going to do some traps. I'm not going to poison this stuff. I'm going to do something that really keeps everything I'm doing is creating something positive for the environment that I'm in and not creating any pollution. The other great thing about organic farms is that they put way more organic material into the soil. And it's crazy. For every 1% soil organic matter you have in, like, I think it's an acre, it's an extra 100,000 gallons of water that soil can hold, a cubic acre, I believe. So it's actually wild. When the soil organic matter is low, it creates all these problems. When the soil organic matter is high, it's way easier to be drought tolerant and all these other things. And the soil is able to regulate its temperature better because of all the organisms living in it. So, because of this moisture, because of these organisms, soil is going to be being enriched. I have been growing plants for quite a while, several years now, and been experimenting with lots of different stuff. And there's lots of crops that I'd love to grow. Vegetables I'd love to grow in the winter would be like all sorts of different greens and lettuces. Uh, it would be like cabbage, broccoli, beets, carrots, radishes, all the kinds of yummy winter stuff, right? Winter squash, maybe some other stuff that just I could grow a little bit later and still have a lot of stuff to offer. And in that time, the fruit trees will be putting out citrus and stuff as well. Then when the summer comes along, I'm going to be growing squashes, zucchini, butternut squash. I'm going to be in the fall, and pumpkins. In the summer, maybe I'll mess around with some corn if I want to. I don't know. Uh, Definitely tomatoes. Definitely peppers. I love growing hot chili peppers. And my goal is to not bring people the same old generic crap that they're getting everywhere else. My goal is to actually bring people varieties that grow specifically well in the region that I'm growing, so they're going to be easier for me to take care of and simultaneously probably healthier, and stuff that people are not used to seeing all the time, so that they can actually enjoy, wow, not only is this food insanely good, but I can't get it anywhere else, and this person is helping to keep this heirloom variety alive. Another thing I'd really love to do with this land is breed. I'm really into plant breeding. The idea that over time we've been able to make a teeny tiny little thing that only has one bite and turn it into like a whole meal, because we've selectively bred it over time, the same way that we have bred wolves into dogs. We've been able to change the food that we're eating so much, and through other techniques like grafting and cloning and stuff, not like laboratory cloning, but just like taking a cutting, nothing crazy, and just keep on focusing on that and doing that, building that up, providing work year round, providing food year round, and enriching the soil year round. It just seems like, of all the things I've done, I've worked at farmers markets before, and it's such an area of gratitude where people are just like, I need this food. I'm grateful you have this food. I'm grateful somebody's growing this food. And so many other things that I've done for work, there's something missing between whether it's like your boss is unappreciative of you or the customer is unappreciative of you, whatever you're doing. And it can be really debilitating mentally trying to deal with that. And I just feel like, man, the gratitude people have for getting their food, which is something that they need to survive, to be able to provide that base level need, but coming from a place that is less extractive, that is less manipulative, that is less shady, that is less bad for everything, and doing it in a way that instead is positive, is instead enriching the soil, enriching the community. The other thing that I'd like to do besides the plant breeding, the growing, actually, like market garden, and the orchard would be, I want to have a spot where I do like pretty wild style gardening, even if it's kind of a smaller area. Get that hooked up to some sprinklers and just throw clay seed balls out of whatever I can get to grow out there. I've had a lot of success using this technique at different places that I've lived. You can find something that will just grow wild like a weed on your property, and all you have to do is water it. And if I can get multiple different crops growing like that in a succession in that area, boom, that'll be a great area to use for my plant breeding. That'll also be a great area to use for my seed saving stuff, and hopefully to be able to find some new techniques to grow things that are ultra minimalist, or just give you more bang for your buck and your time. On top of this all, I just love being outside. I love being with plants. I've always been somebody that academically is able to keep up in whatever I'm doing and physically is able to keep up in whatever I'm doing. So, gardening, farming, being in that, what the plants are doing, it is this really intelligence oriented. Like it's so intricate compared to so many other things I've done. You get to think more about what you're going to do with your garden. You get to think about it like an artist and a scientist and just somebody that's hungry, and it's just so beautiful to me. And it's a bummer that I'm not already doing this, already putting these investments forward, but the goal is to eventually move in that direction, and hopefully, you know, people feel the same way, and I'll be able to get and garner some support for these kinds of ideas. Because what I want to do is not just grow food, I'd love to grow medicine. I'd love to use the herbs and other stuff that I'm growing to make into a product to share with people that need it. I already make stuff like this, like I make herbal healing balms, salves, stuff like that, tinctures. I've made all sorts of stuff. There's so much that can be done, and I would love to be providing that to the community, to society as a whole, sharing what I learn, both the seeds of my labors, the actual seeds, and the knowledge seeds, and just sharing that journey with people to show them, hey, look, here's the different way that we could do something that a lot of people take for granted. And I know people are already doing this, but I think that we could use hundreds and hundreds of these people. We could use thousands of these people. Every microclimate is different. Every place that you grow things is different. There are different things in the soil. There's different temperature. There's different, weather that will like change the way that everything grows. There's different altitudes. So different humidity. There's so many things that are going to affect what you can grow where. And the fact that we rely on such a few amount of people to share with us all the information, there should be more people gathering all this information and sharing it with people so that we can build communities up that work. So anyway, I'm starting to go close to 20 minutes now, so I'll wrap this up. I could yap about this ad infinitum and go into the minutia of any specific detail about it, but I'm just trying to keep this surface level for right now. So anyway, if you watched this video, which I doubt you did, thank you. And I appreciate you, and I hope you learned something or that this sparked your interest or your curiosity. And if you have something that you're working on or working towards, let me know what you think. If you have some comments on regenerative farming or agriculture or any kind of farming, just let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. I would love to engage with the audience a little bit more. So anyway, like I said, thanks for watching if you did. And until next time, adios.